Hi, everybody. Welcome to Mark's Backyard Birds. Definitely a requested program about the basic bird feeding. That is bird feeding 101. If you're brand new to the hobby or you're just thinking about getting into the hobby, how do you get started? And I thought that'd be a great topic. So, what I'm going to do today is going to cover the basics of attracting birds to your yard and feeding birds. And well, the three we always talk about are food, water, and shelter. And so I'm going to glance on all of those, but give you a little more detail on the food and the feeder part of that, because I think that's what interests most people. But of those three things, what's the most overlooked and the most critical for birds? And that is water. Uh, if you watch any of my videos, you know I promote water all the time, but a reliable source of unfrozen water in winter is incredibly important to birds. Now, obviously, sources of water during the hot, dry summer, another critical time for providing water. But like most of us, if you feed birds, you provide water 365 days a year, and that's really smart. And there are times when your bird baths are going to be busier than your bird feeders. So, a reliable source of unfrozen water. We're talking about bird bath de-icers, bird baths with de-icers built in them. Of course, if you live far enough south and it doesn't really freeze very often in where you are, yeah, but just provide a clean source of water. Why clean? Yes, I know birds drink out of mud puddles and things like that, but in a concentrated source like a bird bath, several birds are really bad for pooping in the water, and so cleaning it. I clean mine every day. Basically, I dump out the old water, give it a swish out, and put fresh in it. So, and you don't want a bird bath to be too deep because the birds can't utilize it as easily. The bird bath I have has a hump built in the middle, so I have shallow water and deeper water. And yes, birds do need to bathe in winter. Not as much as they do during the hot, dry months and warm months, but they do need to bathe to heal their feathers and preen. So water is number one. But the food is the more in depth and probably the most confusing to a lot of people. So, I'll talk Mark's rule of bird feeding and trying to help you out. A couple things you have to decide. Do you care what kind of bird you're feeding? So if you most people start out by just tossing a cheap bag of bird seed out on the ground or on their deck or on their patio. And what they get are a lot of sparrows and a lot of blackbirds. And then the cardinal may come in, a few birds that came in that you probably are really wanting to see. And you quickly learn that there are two different kinds of seed. There are seeds and there are grains. The birds that we think of at bird feeders that we want to attract, like cardinals and nuthatches and chickadees and titmice and grosbeaks, and a lot of those birds, goldfinches, they are seed eaters. So they want black oil sunflower is the best example of seed. And there are safflower, peanuts are considered seeds as well. And those guys are high in oil and high in fat. And what I have here is a crude analysis of black oil sunflower. And look at the fat, 40% fat. So remember, birds are warm-blooded like you and I are, and so when we take in food, our bodies convert that food into heat energy that regulates our body temperature inside. Same thing with birds. Their body temperatures are actually like 105 degrees for most of the songbirds that we know. So their bodies feel that. That's how they're able to stand and survive cold winter nights and make it to the next day to find more food, because they need that high protein and they need that high fat in their diet. Now, the grains that I was talking about, the millet, the cracked corn, those guys, this is my ground thread mix, which is mainly millet and a little bit of sunflower, a little bit of safflower in it. Well, the millet seed is preferred by a lot of the ground feeders, native sparrows, the mourning doves, and then, of course, the cardinals prefer the black oil and safflower, and they're ground feeders too. So, and my rule of thumb is thou shalt never mix the seeds with the grains. So, in my feeders that we're going to go over here, I have the either seed mixtures with sunflower, safflower, peanuts, and some of them have other ingredients too. But I leave out the grains. Why I do that is because I find by just including a little bit of grains, especially millet, the only grain I use in my bird seeds, and is I get a lot of seed tossing. you get, and that's really frustrating for a lot of people. Whenever the birds that prefer the little tiny white millet seed are kicking out the good seed onto the ground, and then the birds who want the good seed are kicking the millet out of the way onto the ground. So you get a lot of the seed tossing. Now, the birds who prefer the grains, the millet, are ground feeders mostly. So that's why I came up with the ground throw formula. Don't worry about putting it in your feeders. Just toss it on the ground or on a big open tray on the ground to keep them happy. And then your seed-eating birds, the cardinals and things you want up in your bird feeders, they just have the seeds in them. So that's the simplest rule when it comes to the bird seed recommendations. Now, peanuts are another very high value food there. Look at that, 45% fat, 28% protein. They're very, very good for birds and they convert to energy. But of course, they're more expensive. So usually good quality mixtures have some peanuts in it. But if you want to feed straight peanuts, then a mesh feeder like this is great because they can't grab the peanut and fly away. They have to break the peanut into small pieces to get it out of the mesh. And so you're providing that high protein source for them. And this, I personally prefer feeding the peanuts over suet. I've got programs on suet, but this is just the basics of bird feeding getting into. And remember, I've got this chart, and we'll put a link in it when I get it into the description, that has what birds prefer what seeds. And yes, there are some birds that will eat everything. and look at black oil sunflower, the first column, everything will eat it. That's why if you want to keep it simple, just feeding straight black oil sunflower is your best bet. It will attract the greatest variety of birds. It's a high quality seed. You're doing your birds a great favor by providing that kind of food for them. But most people want to feed a mixture that gives them a little bit of nutritional diversity in there and it's good for them. But again, the seed tossing can be, if some birds don't like a safflower, they're going to push it out of the way. And if you do, by feeding single seeds like just sunflower, just safflower, just peanuts, then you can avoid seed tossing, which can be very frustrating. So not all birds like the same seed. We talked about that, but not all birds like to feed in the same way. I've already mentioned a lot of those grain eaters like to feed on the ground. So having a ground feeder source, but also you can imitate the ground with a large flat tray. And this is a good diversity setup here by a friend of mine. And if you can see down here at the bottom, that gray tray down there has a mourning dove sitting in it. And then you got a 2-feeder on the right that has the larger, we call them multi-seed ports. So sunflower, safflower, peanuts can feed out of that. And then he has the mesh feeder over there for his peanuts. So it's a really good, diverse setup. If you're just getting started with birds, we're going to talk about my favorite starter feeder, but as a feeder station grows, providing that flat source, open source like that, the tray there, and a mesh clinging feeder really diversifies the bird's appeal for your backyard to them. And so they'll come in. The workhorse feeder of almost all bird feeder stations are hopper feeders. And hopper feeders are these house type feeders here at the top, all different sizes, all different styles, but they have a hopper in which holds the seed, and they have roofs that cover and protect the opening where the seed fills out. And then they have different size trays on those hoppers. The bigger the tray, the better it is for larger birds like cardinals and blue jays and even mourning doves. So if you don't want the bigger birds, you'll want a hopper feeder with a smaller tray to it that feeds out rather than a larger tray. But most America's favorite songbird are cardinals. So most people want to attract cardinals with a little bit bigger tray. Now, tube feeders are great. Tube feeders, very diverse. They're very streamlined. If you're hanging a feeder, the wind blows around them really well, so you don't get the swaying that you do in a big hopper feeder in the wind. So they attract a great diversity of birds because a lot of birds do cling in nature naturally on limbs and pick off seed or seed heads. And so the ports keeps the seed dry inside, but they can reach in, grab the seed out, and they can sit there and eat on it, or they can fly away with it and crack it open and then come back. And lots of birds use them. But the key I did a video a while back on Mark's favorite starter feeder. And I said a tube feeder with a tray. And that is like in the upper right where those bluebirds are landing on that tray. And then you got house finches on the tube, the little ports. So smaller birds love those ports to feed on it. By adding a tray to it, it catches excess seed that falls down, so it keeps the ground cleaner underneath there. Plus, it gives bigger birds like cardinals and the bluebirds and the blue jays, things like that, can land on that tray and take advantage of that. So if you're only going to start with one bird feeder, I really do like a tube feeder with a tray. This is a great example of one here. The bluebirds are landing on the tray. It's easier for them. They're not great at negotiating perches. They can, but they do like that flat or surface to land on. And like I said, it makes it neater under your bird feeder. And then I have this chart that I did, and this is all about this feeder preferences. The other one was seed preferences. This one's is feeder preferences by birds. And again, they're feeders that everybody likes, and that is like the hopper feeders. You said there's a dot or a square. Dots are preferred, and squares we'll use. And then once we get out here into more specialty feeders, then you see that the number of dots and squares reduce in certain type feeders because the birds can't feed on them and things like that. So just know that a good feeder station is going to have a diverse seed offerings, diverse feeder style options, and it's going to be located close to cover. Now remember, food, water, shelter, you got to have the water, but the shelter part is very hard for me to address because everybody's backyard is different. Some people live in cities, and of course others live in the country. Some people have tons of trees in their yards. Some have no trees in their yards. Some live on a third floor apartment. There's all kind of different feeding situations. And yes, you can attract birds to all of those types of locations, but one of the keys that when we get asked all the time is, where should I place my bird feeders? Remember, place them where you can see them. It's the number one rule. If you're hanging them up and not able to see your feeders, you're not getting the enjoyment. And remember, birds only get about 15% of their daily diet from bird feeder stations. They're feeding constantly in nature on other seeds. So your feeder stations can help them through really harsh times, but the rest of the time, they're getting that seed and you're enjoying, you're watching. You need to be getting enjoyment out of your bird feeders, and they do bring a lot of pleasure to us. But as far as placement goes, you will have more luck with your bird bath and your bird feeders if they're closer to cover because they feel safer there. A wide open yard with no cover, the birds are very vulnerable there because of avian predators like Cooper's hawks and sharp-shinned hawks, things like that. And of course, free-roaming cats pose a huge danger to birds. So when you're feeding, be conscious of that. They like to know that they can fly away real quick and get over into this bush or into this tree. So if this is the open side of your yard, this side has a tree, favor the side with the tree. That's going to make the birds feel more confident that way. Again, the ground feeding, if you do know, I got a whole video on free roaming cats. If you do know you have free roaming cats in your neighborhood, make sure you're ground feeding, keep that ground food away from the tree line a little bit so they can see if there's an ambush predator like a cat stalking them. So food, water, and shelter, bird feeding 101. It's a great idea for a program. I hope you enjoyed it. If you do, give it a like, give us a share. And if you're on YouTube and you haven't subscribed yet, please do. Don't forget to ring the bell and turn on your notifications so you know when I'm on next. Until next time, let's talk birds.